Good morning and welcome to the Microsoft Virtual Academy. And this is a special Virtual Academy jumpstart of getting started with
best one.
It's going to be the best
one ever.
of getting started with PowerShell. Whether you're an IT pro or even a dev, this is the strongest, most powerful management tool you have in your arsenal to take control of your network. And we're going to take you through it today, step by step. And when I say we, well, it's a very special training event today. I'm Jason Helmick, but this is the inventor of PowerShell, distinguished engineer Jeffrey Snover.
Howdy.
And this is going to be a great event for all of us today. We're going to take you through step by step on how to get started in working with PowerShell, and who better to learn it from than Jeffrey Snover. So I'll tell you what, Jeffrey, let's start out with some intro since we're there. I'll flip the little slide thing. And
okay. Yeah, so howdy, I'm Jeffrey Snover. I'm a distinguished engineer, and let's see, so I started off the PowerShell team about 12 years ago, maybe a little bit more, and that worked out pretty well because after having shipped a couple versions, they made me a distinguished engineer and then the lead architect for Windows Server 2012. Which is
awesome.
That worked out pretty well, so now I'm the lead architect for Windows Server and System Center Data Center products, so having some fun.
Oh boy, having a lot of fun. And with PowerShell and what we're going to talk about, the Windows Management Framework, all of this bundled together, not just in Server 2012, but it works all the way backwards to 2003 so that we can do all of this management with everything that we have in our environment, not just necessarily the latest and greatest.
That's the plan. Back to filling up your arsenal. I like that term.
I like that term too. That's turning out pretty good.
Arsenal.
So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm Jason Helmick. I work with Concentrated Technologies. I do this for a living. I love to train. I do PowerShell, and I also work as an engineer and a consultant, mainly doing a lot of automation with it. Author of a new book that's coming out, Learn Windows IIS in a Month of Lunches. Tough title to say, and it's not only about learning IIS, but it's using PowerShell for it. So just some interesting little tidbits about me. Truly, what the best thing to know about me is, I get to sit next to him, so as we do this. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Let's start off with showing you what we're going to talk about today. So as you can see from the agenda, we're going to cover several topics today, and it's actually quite a few of them. We're going to start off with one of my favorite ones, which is don't fear the shell. You know, I think a lot of IT guys, when they first get started with this, I hear this all the time, they're scared to get started with PowerShell. They're not used to a command line. They don't want to say they're scared, but they're not used to using a command line.
Deep down, they see that console window and they just like,
I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So one of the first
Deer in the headlights.
Yeah. So one of the first things we're going to want to do is get rid of some of that fear. Show you how straightforward you can get started with PowerShell, and then we're going to take you into what PowerShell starts to look like. And of course, we're going to talk about the reasons why PowerShell even exists, and there's some incredibly important ones. So we'll also get into the help system, probably one of the most important things that we do today, the pipeline and extending the shell. All of this stuff that we're going to do is going to make more sense as we hit it, looking at what objects are and drilling into the pipeline. What is that weird character I keep seeing between these commands? And we'll get into one of the most important advantages that you have, which will be PowerShell remoting, which will let you do a lot of your stuff in scale.
That's where it gets fun.
That's where it really gets fun.
By the way, so people should be doing these exercises with us. So, you should be at your computer, fire up a PowerShell window, and type along with us. That's the way you get the most out of this course.
And actually, I think that's the best way to get the most out of this is, I know you want to kick back and kind of, sip some coffee or whatever and listen to us, but keep your fingers close to that keyboard and that console and PowerShell so you can work with us on this.
And you should be joining, are you going to tell them about the Q&A?
Yeah. Matter of fact, I got a slide coming up. Oh, okay, let's do the expectations things on our target audience, and then we'll talk about how to join us. This was designed for IT pros. However, if you're a dev, please join us on this. This was designed for IT pros to be a quick deep dive and get started with PowerShell. There are so many guys out there right now and gals that are trying to get started with PowerShell, and sometimes you find it really difficult. Well, this is the idea, is to get you through the difficulty. And we're not just doing an introductory level. We're going to go in pretty deep with using PowerShell, and it doesn't matter what product you want to use it with, whether you want to use it with Active Directory or SharePoint. You got to know the tool, and if you know the tool, then the products are easy to deal with. So if you're an IT pro, if you work in help desk, if you're a developer interested in what PowerShell can do for you, this is the place to be. And As a couple of additional resources, first of all, we have chat available. If you're all in on chat, you can chat us questions, and I'll constantly be reminding you to chat in questions. We have an amazing support staff out there today. A lot of the PowerShell MVPs are joining us today to help answer questions, and we'll be out there answering questions. So we want you to join in and contribute and ask whatever questions you have, and we'll do the best we can to make sure you all get an answer to it.
Yeah, and the PowerShell community is blessed with some fantastic MVPs, a number of which are online, and they'll be coming and going throughout the day. So don't hesitate to ask questions. You got some rock stars out there.
You certainly do, and I also want to keep in mind that this particular virtual academy, we're going to have a second session, not the same thing. We're going to go beyond this session, further and further into scripting and tool making here in just a couple of weeks on August 1st, right?
Yep.
It's going to be on August 1st. So you want to join the MVA community. As a matter of fact, you can join the MVA community. You get signed in online as you go through the videos that are available out there. You get points. And for right now, you can get 50 special MVA points if you put in the code that's at the bottom of the screen. So make sure you keep track of what's going on with the MVA community so that you can get more sessions just like this one. I don't know. Think we're ready to maybe get started?
Go.
Let's get into this.
My favorite topic.
I know. I just love talking about this. So, folks, here we go. We're going to get into Don't Fear the Shell. Come on, you can hear the music, right? Don't fear the shell. Okay, maybe not.
No.
Okay, we'll stop that then. So, look, we're going to go through an overview of what PowerShell is, why it even exists, and of course, this is the great time for Jeffrey to help us out understand why we even have this. And then we're going to start going into how to take some of the fear out of running PowerShell. We'll show you how to get it installed and how to get it set up. So, let's rock and roll. First of all, the purpose of, and I just want to point out, can you see the slide?
Yeah.
Yeah, look at, you guys, you see the you and the them. That picture of you, that's a picture of me when I was younger. I swear to, no, it's not really a picture of me. So here's the idea. You're sitting there struggling with the day-to-day events of everything that's around you. You've got projects that you have to have done. There are things that are on fire, and everything's going wrong. And you have them. You have your end users, your boss, all of these people that are. We need this now. We need this now. And in Microsoft environments, this has been a challenge. We've had some tools, and you've had some scripting languages, and we had VB script. But there were certain limitations that would challenge us, and it wasn't quite complete enough. It was also kind of hard, and doing automation and solving problems was a huge challenge. Then came along this product that you made. So why is it what is it that you were trying to solve for all of us guys in IT?
Yeah, when I came to the company, I said, well, we need an automation strategy. And they said, well, we have an automation strategy. I said, really, where? And they said, well, here. And it was VB script. It's like, no, my friends, that's not an automation strategy. And they said, well, here, we've got these great APIs. I was like, no, my friend, that's not an automation strategy.
I don't even like the sound of that.
Exactly. And so what I knew was that we needed to have an interactive shell, an environment that someone would say, hey, go explore the system, try this, try that, be able to get things done. And then from there, the idea is like, hey, I notice I do type the things over and over and over again. Why don't I put it in a script and just run it from there? And then say, well, that's great. Now it's, reduce my repetitive strain injury. And I'd like to parameterize it. Oh, I'd like to parameterize it. Now I can use it for a wider range of things. And now I'd like to share it with you. And now we'd like to use it to manage thousands of machines. So we had this model. We called it the admin development model, which really, Bruce Payette, superstar
right.
Bruce, he says the average lifetime of a command line script, of a script, starts at the prompt and ends at the carriage return. That it was very important that it be an interactive environment so that you can explore and honestly have fun. I mean, if there's two things you get out of today's session, one is the spirit of exploration. Hey, this is a great environment to go explore. And then two, just how much fun it is. I mean, it's just a blast to be able to use. And then from there, to be able to automate. Automate. You know, if we had just transformed, you know, a click, click, click experience to a click, click, click experience, like, okay, that's good. Like, lots of people prefer this over this, but you really wouldn't have transformed the platform. It's the ability to then do this, this, and this, and then say, save.
Right.
And then just say, click, and run.
And I just want to emphasize that we're unaccustomed in Windows environments of having an interactive shell, a real-time solve your problem tool. I mean, we've always had basic commands, but that really wasn't solving our problem.
Yeah.
This means solve your problem and then literally copy, paste, or hit save, and now you can automate it.
Exactly.
And it doesn't require any more than have fun finding and solving the problem, and now I'm on my way.
Yeah, you know, I mean, you might say, well, why do I need to do that? And the answer is because everybody's scenario is different. So we were talking in the car last night about how, well, hey, in Exchange, you know, the GUI, you know, honestly, we spend a lot of time talking to customers and trying to understand the scenarios and put that into the GUI so that you just click, click, click. But the reality is, and Jason was telling me the story about, hey, I did that, but then what I needed to do was I needed to have different quotas for these types of users versus those types of users versus those types of users, and the GUI didn't help me. You know, I had to go do a ton of clicking. So we might have gone and said, oh, well, okay, we'll add that to the GUI. But then all of a sudden, if you try and deal with everybody's scenarios in the GUI, it becomes big and it becomes complex and it becomes hideous, and then you can't use the GUI.
And I think that that's one of the biggest issues that people will start to see at first is that the graphical, there's nothing wrong with using a graphical interface.
Nope,
I mean, sometimes I use it too. I use it for things that I just need to do once, one-off, once every blue moon, you know, creating a site link in Active Directory. The graphical's great for that. But when you have business challenges that can't be met, such as, and I think what we were talking about last night was, I needed to set the mailbox limits of a particular OU in Active Directory. Well, the graphical doesn't support that, and I don't expect Microsoft to solve that problem for me, because how are they supposed to know what my issues are? PowerShell is the way that you can solve those issues and that you can get these business problems solved, and it doesn't take 6 months. You get them solved right now and then you automate them. So the purpose to PowerShell really is all about making you more effective, getting stuff done faster, and solving problems that you probably had a hard time solving before. So let's
because often they're unique.
Yeah, very unique. So let's see here. Installing PowerShell. Now, right now, there's a lot of, it's kind of confusing for a lot of folks. First of all, let's talk about some of the versions of PowerShell.
Yep.
Nobody should have V1 right now, right?
Okay. You should upgrade up V2.
You've got to be.
At least, yeah.
Okay, so V2 came out a couple of years ago, right?
Yep.
A couple of years ago. And you should have V2 on Windows 7, and you should have it on 2008, 2008 R2. And V2 also works and is part of the update stream that you can update for Windows XP, and shame on you if you still have Windows XP, and of course Server 2003. Now V3 is the new one, and V3 came out for Windows 8 and for Server 2012. If at all possible, as the administrator, you want V3 on your box, and you're going to see plenty of examples of that today.
Oh, yeah.
Of needing to have V3. You can upgrade V3 and have that on your box for both the Windows 7 and Server 2008 R2, and that's it though, right?
Windows Server 2008? Windows
2008.
Server 2008 R2.
And 2008 R2. I got to make sure I get them all in there. So you can upgrade to V3. Now, you don't have to rush right out right now and start upgrading your servers to V3, and you should take some cautions out there. There are some products that aren't quite ready to handle V3, and there's plenty of information on that, so don't be that guy or gal that makes that mistake and accidentally upgrade a server to V3 if the product running on it is not ready for it. But on your administrative machine, you got to have V3. You're going to love the features we show you today with it.
Yeah, you should always read the release notes. You know, we tell you what it works with. And you're like, if you have this, don't install that.
Yeah, release notes are really good, along with, you know, testing is also really good as well. If you take a look at the slide real quick, you'll see that there's a place where you can download. It's a strange name to download PowerShell 3. It's called the Windows Management Framework. We're going to talk a lot more about what the term, the Windows Management Framework, means. It's not just PowerShell. And there's a link there for you so that you can get it downloaded. Now, if today you have V2 on your laptop, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But probably during lunch, you're going to want to use V3. And just to let you guys know, so that we can get the confusion out of the way, what we're doing today is how to use PowerShell. What we show you how to use today is going to work on V2, V3, and that mythical thing that's coming out sometime in the future, V4-ish like stuff. So you're going to be just fine with whatever version you have. We're going to be using. It's all going to be about the tool today. So, well, let's talk about launching PowerShell. How do you find PowerShell to launch it? And guys, I'm actually going to demonstrate this off of my box real quick. One of the most interesting things here is if you're on Windows 8, you have this magnificent Windows key that brings up your desktop for you. And to find PowerShell, it's actually very simple. Just start typing the word PowerShell. Now, I have to tell you, the first thing that I always do is right-click and pin this to my taskbar. Right?
I do too.
You'll have this. You're going to have PowerShell open more than anything else that you work with. So you want to make sure you right-click and get this guy pinned. I've already got mine pinned down here on my desktop so that you can see it. Now, if you're working with a pre-Windows 8 operating system, you're going to have to click on the Start menu. And I've got a screenshot of what that looks like here in the slides. You'll click on the Start menu as soon as I can figure out how to bring the slide back up. And it's this guy over here. You're going to go under Accessories, and then Windows PowerShell will be at the bottom. And you're going to notice that there are two kinds of them out here. You're going to see some repeats, x86 versus ones that aren't x86. The x86 are obviously the 32-bit versions. You don't want to run those. You want to run the 64-bit version on your 64-bit OS. And we'll talk a little bit later about the ISE, but this is a great scripting editor that we can use as well. So as long as you got PowerShell ready to go, then we're ready to start to work with it.
Rock and roll, baby.
Now, let's talk a second about comfort. Comfort is important. Like these chairs right here in this studio are very, very comfortable, and that's very nice. We're going to spend a lot of time, and I'm rocking back and forth because they're so comfortable.
Swaying.
He's swaying. We're going to spend a lot of time looking at this console.
Yep.
And PowerShell does it use every possible character on the keyboard?
No, actually, there's the up arrow.
Great. It's the up arrow that we don't use. Oh, that's awesome. Well, guys, this is what I'm talking about. First of all, let me launch PowerShell and show this to you. Now, I'm going to launch it. I'm logged in as a regular user account. And I want you to notice when I launch PowerShell, the first thing, you take a look at the top of the screen here. See how it says Windows PowerShell? If you want to do some administration, that's not what you want it to say. So let me close this and show you. If you're in as a regular user account, you want to right-click and do Run as Administrator. If you're an administrator, it'll already launch it with administrator. If not, it'll prompt you for credentials so that you can have administrative access. We're going to talk about security later, but this is actually an important thing. Notice as I'm looking at the console right now, this is something that we're going to be staring at for a long time. So there's a couple of things that you definitely want to be able to tell the difference in.
By the way, one of the tricks there is if you're trying to do something and it's not working, like this morning, I was trying to set some things up, and I did get VM, and it showed me nothing. I was like, oh, do I have the wrong machine? Did I provision this? I recently provisioned it. Did I forget to set things up? And then I looked and I saw that I wasn't in admin mode. So then you bring it up in admin mode, and I say get VM, and you see all your VMs. So if something's going a little wonky, go check and see that you are running as admin.
And I just have to say that we're going to be doing several things today, and out of those things that we're doing today, if you're not in administrative mode, it isn't going to work. It's going to be very wonky. You're going to get error messages, access denied messages, and so you want to make sure you're in as administrator mode. Take a look at the characters I have on the screen. Can you see the difference on your screen what those characters are?
You zoom it.
Well, no, I want them to look at it and go, I can't tell the difference.
Oh.
I want them to go, no, I don't know what it is.
Don't you zoom it.
Yeah, don't you zoom it then. This is important. You need to make sure that this screen, you can see these individual characters. I've got a grave character or a backtick character, and then a single quote, and there's only a couple of pixels in difference. So here's actually one of the most important things to do when you're getting ready to use PowerShell. I'm going to go in here to the properties, and we're going to adjust this console. Now, I'm not going to change mine because that'll screw all the views up, but let me kind of show you the idea here. Under fonts, you want to use a font that is nice and bold and thick, and they gave you one called Lucida Console. Did I say that right?
I don't know.
Console. I have no idea. Consolus
I would
is
say Lucida.
Never
mind.
That's okay. Consolus is a nice font, but it's thinner. I prefer the heavier weight font. And then you want to adjust the font size. But when you do that, to get it to a nice font size, you're going to notice in this preview pane that the pretty PowerShell window is going to extend to the right and go to the bottom. And these are all bad things. And let me tell you why. When PowerShell is giving you information, it wants to sometimes put information all the way to the right and all the way at the bottom. And so if your screen has extended beyond the boundaries of your desktop, you're not going to see anything. So, and you don't want scroll bars all over the place. So let me show you how to fix that.
Oh, you don't use bold? I always use bold.
Do you use bold?
Always.
Really?
Yeah.
That scares me.
Oh.
Because it feels like it's yelling at me or something.
Okay.
Well, you want to turn bold on?
I always turn bold on.
Okay, we'll turn bold on.
I find, well, here's the deal. When you present, if any of you ever present to the audience, always use bold, because then it's just easier to read like a couple hundred feet
Well,
away.
it's screwing up my desktop. I don't want to turn it on now. So
No, okay. Okay.
Now in layout, guys, layout is where you're going to adjust your screen width and so that it fits. And then what you want to do is fit just like this in the preview window. Let me show you two things. The window size for width is right here, and that'll adjust its width. And I'll screw mine up for a second and see how it's kind of going off to the right over there. You don't want that. You want your width so that it fits, so you don't have a horizontal, I think that's this way, horizontal scroll bar. When you adjust the window width size, you also want to make sure that you keep the buffer size. You don't want things going off into the buffer where you'll never be able to see it. Height is an important one as well. I want you to notice as I scroll up and down this height, what I don't want to do is scroll that all the way below my desktop, because then when you see data, data will get put down at the very bottom and you won't see it. So I want it to fit on my desktop. A vertical scroll bar you'll have will be okay. Make sure that for the height buffer size, you get at least 3,000 or greater. And I want to warn you that when you're working with some products that have a PowerShell console, that console is set to 300 by default. So you definitely want to change that. You're going to lose information and not be able to scroll back and see it. When it comes to colors, oh, dude, I'm not changing the colors because I like the color scheme you picked out. I mean,
good.
I mean, but you know, if you want to change the colors to something that you like to read, you know, you want to make it green screen or whatever, or come up with some weird color combination, knock yourself out. But I'm going to leave it at the default color size. The important thing
that
is,
looks good.
Yeah, I know. I thought the yellow would look great. The important thing is that your console is now ready to go, and it's all set up, and it's in a comfortable font. So while we move on, take a second and make sure that you've got a nice looking PowerShell console to take a look at. So let's see what we're doing next here. I think we're ready to kind of get into some demonstration stuff. Ooh. Oh, yeah. This is, looky. This is,
Oh man, that's old.
and you get like this milk mustache going. I just think this is great. Get PowerShell. This is awesome. So let's talk a little bit and start off by taking some of the fear out of PowerShell. Before we talk about this, this magic word commandlet, you needed to come up with your own commands, not the Windows native ones. You needed your own commands. Why the term commandlet?
Yeah, so there's two answers to that. So first is that PowerShell, we wanted to have a model of composition. Okay, and so the model of composition, if you actually take a look at it, the commands that you write are really small. And the idea is that then you leverage the engine to do common processing. So if you had each one of the commandlets try and do big tasks by themselves, I want to get things and I want to process things and I want to format them, then every developer would be doing things differently.
Right.
You know, oh, well, I like the term sort and you like the term order and order by and all that. And so he said, no. You write the things that you and only you can do, and then leverage the engine to do everything else. Okay, and so these commands got really small, and that was the whole point. They're really small, and you use the pipeline to do bigger tasks, and because of that, you get a regularity. That is to say, you're going to learn something, and then you can use it over and over again. So that's where the term commandlet came from. But then, when we went to bring it out, the documentation people said, no way, you can't do that. We don't make up terms. It's called command. And it's like, well, no, we're going to call it commandlet. And they just went to the manual. It's like, no. I said, I'll tell you what. Bring up a search window. I said, say, search for command. and there was like X 100 million things. I said, now search for commandlet, and it was X thousand. I said, every single one of those is related to PowerShell. And they're like, oh, search engine optimization.
There you go, a little SEO on
Exactly.
using the term commandlet. And I just have to say that my wife refers to them as kimblets because that's the way they're spelled. But at any rate, commandlets. Now, how a commandlet looks is also kind of bizarre. If you've never been at the command line, I mean, if you've been at the command line, you see dir. But now you're seeing these. Well, we've got verbs and we've got this dash and we've got this noun. Why did you?
Yeah, so a lot of
construct the
people
name
take
that
a
way?
look at PowerShell and they say, oh, it looks very much like Unix, right? And by the way, it's just, we actually tried to use Unix, right? We didn't start off wanting to invent something. We started off saying, I got to solve a customer problem. And so there were some really great tools out there, the Unix tools. So my first effort was to get those tools available on Windows. But it turned out that didn't work. And the reason why is because Unix is very much of a document-oriented operating system, which is a lot of the management is done through documents or files, whereas Windows is an API-oriented operating system. Okay, now both have their advantages, but here's the thing: the management's completely different. So when I got Bash and awk and sed and grep available on Windows, okay, it didn't help that much. Right? Why? Because then you go and you say awk doesn't work against the registry. grep doesn't work against WMI, sed doesn't work against Active Directory. And so in Unix, those tools, those text manipulation tools, are management tools. But on Windows, they're just text manipulation tools, and there's not much text, so they didn't help. So we had to invent our own stuff. And so then the question is, okay, well, we want to invent as little as possible, and so we leveraged a lot of the technology, a lot of the concepts of Unix, the compositional model. But Unix, love Unix. You guys did a great job. On the other hand, it has weaknesses as well. And this is an area where we looked more to VMS DCL or the AS400. They have very good production-oriented environments, and they were extraordinarily regular in their environments, which is to say you had verb-noun and then this well-defined set of parameters. And what happened, the first time I learned it, right, I was a Unix guy for a long time, and then I had to do VMS. And I got on it, I was like, I hate this thing. I despise this thing. It's a piece of junk. And I would go around telling everyone this, and it's like, okay, but I got to do it for my job. And I'd try somewhere, and I hate it. And at some point, I just had to sit myself down and put your big boy pants on, Jeffrey. You got to learn this. And so it's like, okay, stop. Get out of your head condemning things. Just experience it. And so about an hour later, I'm like, hey, this thing's pretty cool. And then all of a sudden, 2 hours later, it's like something new comes up. And having learned a set of things, I said, boy, I wonder if that works. And it worked. So what happened was you learned the schema, right? Verb-noun, or with slashes there. But then it was the schema. You learned it once, and then you were able to do it over and over and over again. And that was the joke at DEC. At DEC, we used to say, hey, somebody put a fish finder on the VAX. Can you manage it? And they're like, sure, show fish finder. Get fish finder /no-log/confirm.
And I think that's really, that's the epitome of what's going to help us all out, not only today, but going forward, is the fact that you get used to, I want to work with X. Well, I know that I've got these common verbs that I'm going to use. I'm going to be able to get this. I'm going to be able to set this, change it. I'm going to be able to create something new. And I think that's very important. And I started out in AS400s, and my first, while I was being trained, there was a problem, and my first thing was, can't we just reboot it? And I thought the operator was going to punch me when I said that. So yeah, he should have. So hey guys, let me show you what these commandlets are. Take a look at my current directory location. Now, if I was in something like DOS, you guys know that I could do CD /, but we have commandlets now. So watch, set dash location, C:/. Yeah, that's cool. Now, if I wanted to get something like a directory listing, in DOS, you guys know you can do dir, but here's the interesting thing. We have commandlets for this. So get child item will give me a directory listing. If I want to clear the screen, if this was DOS, we'd do CLS, but we have a commandlet for that called clear -host. Please tell me that you're not impressed yet. Yeah, in fact, we got the guys in the back there going, yeah, that was... Let's start to take the fear out of PowerShell. One of the things that helped me tremendously, especially when I got started with PowerShell, was that Yes, there are commandlets, and yes, we're going to show you how to discover and learn and use those commandlets, but you can start using PowerShell right now, even if you don't know those commandlets. Let me show you. This is kind of interesting. I'm going to close my shell and reopen it again. And so if I want to change from this directory location back to the root of C, cd, oh, it worked. If I want to get a directory listing, dir worked just perfect. If I want to clear the screen, cls. See, it's working as I would expect. And here's the interesting thing. Let's see, if I was a Unix guy, how would I get a directory listing? ls. How would I clear the screen? Well, clear. It's doing Unix stuff, and it's doing Windows stuff, and it's making me happy because I can be a Windows guy and I can sit down and start using PowerShell. A Unix guy can sit down and start using PowerShell. My question is why is that working?
Yeah, so what we do is we got a regular experience, right? So you've got get child items, set location, etc. And you can always use those things. And then what we did was we put personalities on it, which is to say we knew that Unix guys would be coming to this, we knew that DOS guys would be coming to this, and so we have aliases. And so the aliases, as much as possible, we wanted people's first experience to not be a frustrating one, that they try a set of things and they just work. PS continues to work.
Exactly, and I think this is one of the interesting things is that they're aliases. And aliases, think of them as shortcuts to real commandlets, okay? So we're not using the actual ls command or anything. It's pointing to a PowerShell commandlet, but the idea was, and I love your use of the term personalities, we built personalities into this, is that it makes it comfortable for whatever environment you're coming from so that you can get started right away. As a matter of fact, let me just kind of show you, get-alias gives you a list of the current aliases. By the way, you guys should print this out and memorize this in the next few minutes, so you have all the aliases. But this is what allows you to start working, and things like making a directory. I can make a directory. Oh boy, see, I can go right to work right away. And this starts to bring us to another. Oh, we're going to talk.
If you're a Unix guy, you'd use
make dir, right? Right.
Give it a try.
Let's see. Make dir.
Hope this works.
Jeffrey.
Woo,
awesome.
woo, woo.
See, it's all that easy. So basically, your normal command line experience you can bring right to PowerShell. But wait, there's more. Okay. Yes, there's more. There's more.
You're going to get a Ginsu knife out of this.
Even better than a Ginsu knife. Now, first of all, I just want to kind of point out that we're going to talk about help extensively. But if you want to get help, you can type help. And if you're a Unix person and want to type help, you can type man. Now, personally, I think, Unix is kind of sexist for the whole man thing. But in PowerShell, if you want to get a list of aliases, you can type get-alias. But there's an alias for get alias called gal. And see, this is what makes me so happy is that PowerShell isn't sexist, so you should use this. Anyways, let me show you. Stupid, but so here's where it gets really cool. You know what I can do from PowerShell? Besides working in an environment that already kind of feels comfortable with me, I can use Windows native commands. I love this. Ping a computer, and it works. This is so awesome. Yeah, I can run Notepad. Oh yeah, I know everybody's impressed now. Oh look, calculator. And oh, hey, you know what? I haven't tried this yet on Windows 8. I should try this. Can I run, do we still have MS Paint? Oh, this is awesome. So we still, okay, but the point was this, is that you can still use your Windows native commands in here. You guys are always checking, ipconfig and all that stuff. Don't be that guy or that gal. And I have to tell you, this is one of the funniest things. I was teaching an advanced scripting class for PowerShell, and this guy, I've known him a long time, was writing this magnificent tool to go out and do a bunch of things to a couple of computers. And he's sitting there going, oh, my script's broke. Can you help me? And I'm like, well, what's your problem? And he says, well, the script's broke, and because it's getting those two machines, but it's not getting anything from that machine. And I looked at him and I said, well, first of all, don't forget you're an engineer. What do you usually do if a machine's not responding? How do you test that? And he says, oh, I'll ping it. And I'm like, yeah, see if it's even turned on. Very good, very good. So he's sitting at a PowerShell console.
No.
You know what he did?
Yes.
Start programs, accessories, opened up command prompt to type ping. I literally looked at him and went, get out. So the idea, guys, is you have your Windows native commands, and they work the way that you expect them to work, so that you have an environment to get started in. So between aliases helping you out, and between running Windows native commands, the idea is open up PowerShell. Don't open up the command prompt. Open up PowerShell and start using PowerShell, because you're going to start then learning the commandlets, which we're going to do today, but you're going to start learning the commandlets and make your learning curve much easier this way. It was designed for you to do it this way, and so make your life easy and just go ahead and start using it. And make sure you show your other administrative friends. Open up the shell and start using it. It's going to work for you. So at least that's taking a little bit of the fear out of it.
Let's hope.
So, besides having aliases and all that kind of good stuff, folks, we want to do kind of a reminder for you.
Oh, wait, can you go back?
Oh, yeah, I can go back.
Yeah, can I show them something?
You
Can you go to my screen? Okay. Hoo-ha, perfect. Let's see. Okay, so I don't know if you know this, but so the aliases, right? So you saw aliases for gal, PWD, right? Okay, so there are these personalities, yeah? Okay, but if you take a look, there's just a ton of these things.
Yeah.
And so you notice, like, what are they alias to? It's all verb, noun, sorry, yeah, okay. But the aliases are very regular as well. Okay, so take a look at this. Let's say gal, G, star. Okay, notice wildcards. So notice all the G's start with get. Okay.
You know what? I don't think I've actually ever noticed that.
Okay. Now here's the thing. Now that's sort of obvious, right? But,
Well, apparently not.
But here's the interesting thing. Look at this one. GSV. Okay. Let's see if I got the zoom it working here. Okay. Oh, look at that. Okay. So get service GSV. So then the question is, well, geez, what about if I did gal star SV? And look there. Okay. So you got some, but GSV. Yeah. SASV, start service. SPSV, stop service. So look at this, SASV, okay? So let's see. Oh, I'm getting good at this. SASV is start service. So SV for service, let's say gal SA star. And look, start. So it's not always the case, right? Sal, AL for alias, but yeah, SA, JB. So we've even tried to be thoughtful and schematize the aliases as well.
And you made them easy to search through. And this has become really important when we get to start talking about using the help system, which is what we're going to do next. But you've made them easy to search through to find aliases. And one of the things, guys, I want to show you is on to what Jeffrey was showing you, is with those aliases. A lot of times, get alias, a lot of times you're going to have a commandlet and you're going to want to know what the alias is for the commandlet. There is a way to do this, and we're going to explain what parameters are. They alter the command, and there's a parameter called definition, and if I were to type in a particular commandlet, it'll tell me what the aliases are available for it. Notice in this case there's a couple of them, PS and GPS for it. So there's a couple of different ways to find and work with your aliases. I find it much easier if you just memorize the list. No, just kidding. Don't memorize the list. As a matter of fact, don't memorize anything. But we'll talk about that more.
Can you talk about that more? Good.
So, because we don't want you memorizing stuff.
No.
That just takes the pain out of it. So, questions or comments? Make sure that you're in the chat rooms, you're asking questions, and we're going to be checking on you guys as we go throughout this to see if you have any questions. And there will be a recording of this later. I know a lot of people are asking if there's going to be a recording of this. Absolutely, and it will be available for you online with MBA. So, and I'm going to remind you with this slide often to ask questions and stuff like that.